Hello, it's July 29th, 2002. This is video number 16 in my series, Our Courts Are a Joke. So I am continuing my struggles with dealing with my family court matter. Now, I've sent some letters to the Big Six, MP, MPP, Prime Minister, Premier Ford, and the Attorney Generals, federal and provincial. Now, really, my biggest problem is that, of course, none of them want to interfere in the court system, and I get that. Like, the political system shouldn't mess with the judicial system. However, the judicial system, in my case, is corrupt. And now, Honorable Justice Madam Conway and Justice Kraft, especially started with Conway, and then Kraft did not like what I said about Conway in another trial, and they went out of their way to screw me. And now, clear biased, clearly with Conway that she just totally stepped out of bounds with what her actions were. And everything since then, every appeal I've had at every level, they don't want to hear that, right? Like when you go to appeals court, you have to show that there's a mistake in law or a mistake in fact. You can't just say that judge screwed me, right? They will not entertain that. So, it's impossible until I can get someone to understand that, you know what, the courts are not sacred. They are not holy. There is some problems, and nobody believes that, right? If there's a problem with a police officer, there's somewhere to go. If there's a problem with a priest, there's somewhere to go. Like, there's nothing sacred anymore. If there's a problem with a politician, there's somewhere to go. But when there's a problem with a judge, there's really nowhere to go, and it's almost impossible to prove. In my case, like the evidence is so like the other way of what the judgment is. But there's too much of this room for interpretation, right? So, but I'm trying to prove my facts, but, so the first one, Justice Conway, just allowed Mary R. McLaughlin to just remove all my evidence. And then the whole trial is just me arguing, where's this, where's that, and that was my mistake that I showed up for the trial and got the joint document briefs that morning, right? Like, that was stupid on my part. I should have got them a week or two ahead so I could have reviewed it and seen what was there and dealt with that. But, I had again, I'm learning in my, in the rearview mirror of what I should have done. But, my life was a disaster. I was actually, on the verge of suicide. I had a really terrible, situation that happened before that. And man, I was just trying to deal with all that. And, it's, and I expressed that in the trial. And, instead of the court, trying to help to accommodate me, they went out of their way to screw me that much more. Right. So, anyway, I'm going to have to make separate videos about everything that happened there. But, I had an appeal at divisional court, and they just said, well, this evidence is too far from the trial, so we're going to go with what the trial judge said, right? Now, again, I could have presented that case better and whatnot, right? And had I been, maybe done better with that, I still wouldn't be dealing with it. But they just said, no, forget it, we'll stick with what the trial judge said. So, yeah, you know what? Then I had an appeal, years later, because I really just gave up all hope, before a single judge in the Court of Appeal, and my ex didn't even show, and I still lost. So then I appealed within time to a panel, and same thing, my ex didn't show, and I still lost. So if you lose a motion where the other party doesn't show, clearly your battle's not with the other party, it's with the court, right? So I'm left, trying to fight the court. So I don't even need to serve my ex, you need to be there. Right. So anyway, last week, my ex and I actually sat down and talked for a couple hours, and she admits a lot of the stuff now that, in the trial was what I was saying, but of course they were denying. But, my ex, she's just a sheep, she's just following along. And it was her lawyer, doing everything. And, at the time I blamed my ex because her lawyer stood up and lied and she didn't do anything. But, today I kind of know that she's just following along with what she's told to do, right? So I don't really blame her, but it was funny. We sat down last week and talked for a couple hours, and she's sitting there talking like the last 18 years never happened. So, good on her. I mean, she's, she never found anybody after me, and I feel kind of bad about that. She's probably pretty lonely in that sense. But anyway, my battle, I say, continues, and I say it hasn't been about her since the second day. It's more about the judicial system itself. So getting back to the original start of my story here, I have to somehow find someone in some position of power that is willing to acknowledge that a judge did something wrong. Not just made a mistake in law or a mistake in fact, like did something wrong. And like I say, this is almost impossible because nobody wants to acknowledge that the yardstick that we measure everything else by is not right. And until we can look at that, until like, I trying to explain this in different terms. Like for anyone that's done any kind of measuring, right? You cut your piece, and then every other piece is measured off that one piece, right? But if there's something wrong with that first piece, everything else is wrong. Like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you make that foundation off a little bit, the rest of the tower is all leaning, right? So, I have to somehow prove to somebody that judge stepped out of bounds, and until I can, my struggle continues. So, with that, anyway, it's the long weekend here, and beautiful weather. I'm going to see my kids. I'm looking forward to that, and I wish everybody a wonderful weekend. Please subscribe to my series, Our Courts Are a Joke. Send me an email at ourcourtsareajoke@gmail.com if you've had any problems in family court, and please subscribe to my channel. And just remember, this is not professional legal advice, just the ramblings of a 55-year-old man that's trying to regain his life after being screwed in the family courts. It's called actually Ontario Courts of Justice Family Branch here in the province of Ontario. Thank you.